I obviously don't have to tell you that the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up. But how do we talk about it with our kids? My kids know the basics. They know the basics of the day. They know lasting impacts. They know how, like, events that led up to it. But the full scope of that day and the days afterwards, I've not really studied it with them. In part because I don't know how to do it well. Because obviously it is such an impactful thing on our lives as Americans, but also personally because it's what started the ball rolling for my husband to join the military. So this year, in the past, we've touched on it here and there and whatever, we always recognize it, but this year I wanted to study it a little more intensely. So I put together a kind of a morning basket type mini study for us. But I want to share with you some of the resources that we're going to be using. Now, the ones that I'm sharing with you, I have kind of screened to be, I'm not sure how to say it, but basically suitable for most kids, at least like third grade or so and up, fourth grade and up. Obviously, judge your child, but I try to choose resources to share with you that were good for most kids. Nothing too graphic, nothing too intense, but still quality resources. So the first one I want to share with you is a unit study that's free from Pandia Press, which is the company who makes Real Science Odyssey and History Quest. It's a free unit study, 5 days, and it says ages, I think 7 to 12, I think is what it is. So elementary school. It's really good. There's a variety of things in it. Low prep. You can download it on Sunday night and start it on Monday if you wanted. It's just low prep. There are some books that it recommends, but you could either get them as ebooks from your library or not get them at all. So you don't have to do them. For those of you who, like me, are to be last minute people. So that is the first one I want to recommend. The second one is a book called 9/10, and this book is told from the view of 4 children in New York City whose lives come together because of 9/11. This book was in our geography for Journey to the USA, and I've shared our geography curriculum. If you're interested, I'll leave the video down below. So that one is chapter books. It's not very long. So if you are looking for some kind of a read aloud that is, again, not very intense, obviously it can't be light because it's not light topic, of course, but like, you know what I mean? Like things that are just easier to do. Another one is a picture book, but I think this picture book is absolutely worth checking out as long as your kids still enjoy read alouds, no matter what their age is. And it's called 13 Cows for America. And it's the story of a man from Kenya, the Maasai tribe, and he had been living here in the US, and he went back. And as he was telling his tribe about 9/11, they sold their cows to give to us. And obviously, if you are a tribal herdsman type tribe, that's something that's very valuable. So I definitely think that one is worth looking for. My boys are, if you don't know, 6th grade and 8th grade. The 8th grader still really loves to be read to. The 6th grader, it depends on the day, but that one is one we will be reading again this year. Let me stop right there and also add this. I was talking about 9/11 on my personal Facebook yesterday, and one of my friends commented that that our kids, most of us, some of you I know have older kids, but most of us, our kids were not around on 9/11. So while for us, it's a really impactful, emotional day, for them, it's less so in general, of course, because it's just another history event to them. And I know I'm so fine that, forgive me, but you know what I mean? Like when I would read about when I was their age and I would learn about Vietnam War, to me, that was just a history event. But to my parents' generation, that was not just a history event. And so keeping in mind that they will process that information about that day in a very different way than we did, since they weren't living it. And I thought that was really important, because as I was going through trying to choose things, I kept thinking, oh, this is so heavy, this is so intense. Well, yeah, some of it is just because of the graphic nature of some of the video and footage. But a lot of it, when I looked at it again from that view, it's just a different view. So I don't really know what to do with that, but just like keep that in mind, that for us as adults, our view of it when we're talking about it is going to be very different than what they understand it to be. And that's okay, because to them it is a different kind of event than it is for us. Anyway, side note, tonight, I'm taping this on Tuesday, there is a show premiering on PBS that I am really excited about. It's called Generation 9/11. And it follows the lives, I believe, of 7 kids who, well, not so kids anymore, but 7 who were kids, little, when they lost a parent on 9/11. And so watching the trailer on it, it just looked like a story of resistance and perseverance and life redemption. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure, obviously there's going to be some sadness in it, but I think it really struck me as a show that's going to kind of give us just a hope of like, out of literally, kind of the ashes, good can come. Whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? My wording is not great, but you understand. So that's that. I'm assuming it will be playing on PBS multiple times over the next couple of weeks, and you'll be able to catch it on the PBS website and TV app as well. Next one is one that my kids and I listened to last spring, and it's a podcast called Blindspot, The Road to 9/11. This one, I'm going to say, is really good for like middle school and high school. Not because it's inappropriate for younger kids, but because it's kind of difficult to follow. There are a lot of names, and obviously most of the names that are involved are Muslim names. So for a lot of kids, trying to keep track of who's who when the names aren't even very familiar to us can be difficult. So that said, it's a great podcast. It kind of tells the story between leading up to the first World Trade Center bombing. I didn't say it, but I'll leave the titles of all of these things down below. And I also have a blog post that coordinates that has even more resources, so that'll be down there as well. But I will leave the titles specifically down in there, down in the down bar. So like I said, it really needs to be for older kids, and each episode is like 45 minutes to an hour long. So we would break it up, but don't break it up too far apart, because you're going to forget things that have happened. It's really good. It's just a difficult story to tell and to keep track of because there's so much to it. And then the last part, the last one I want to recommend were a couple documentaries. Now, before I share that though, the one I was originally going to recommend was a new one on Hulu by National Geographic. Or at least, I don't know if it's on anyplace else. I saw it on Hulu. It's a 6-episode show, I believe, 6 episodes, called One Day in America. I watched the first episode so I could see if it would be good for the kids or not, because knowing that it was a long thing, like, well, they may not want all those details. But sometimes my boys really get into things, so I didn't watch the first episode. I would be very cautious about watching it with kids. at least that first episode. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to give you that if that's not what you want, but it was rough to watch. It was rough to watch. So if you have considered, if you've seen it and you've seen the ads for it and considered watching it with your kids, please preview it first, at least the second half of it. You know your kids best, but I would be very cautious about it. Personally, again, I know that like even though they process things differently, there was still just a lot in it that aren't necessarily things that I want my kids, at least my boys, like ruminating in their head. It was really intense, really good, but intense. Which again, one more thing before I tell you to that. Yes, I'm going to be suspenseful. But on that note, please guard yourself over the next couple of weeks. I know that everyone obviously experienced that day differently, and the lasting impacts on family will be very different. But I also know that this country, we kind of tend to, that collective trauma and reliving that day, in those days, it's a lot. And there can be a sense of like, if I watch a lot of things and that I'm patriotic and I love that my country and I don't forget those people who died and everything that came after that. But those things don't really correlate. I know it can feel that way, but they don't. So don't make yourself watch more than what you can really do. It is okay to guard your emotions. It is okay to say, I'm not going to forget the impact of that day on our country, but I'm also not going to watch all these images. It's okay. I need that reminder. I'm just telling myself that as much as anyone, but I wanted you to hear it from someone else too. Okay. So last one. So when I realized that wasn't going to work, that show going to work, another one that I had thought about was called 102 Minutes That Changed America. And that one was fine. I rewatched part of it again today, but I had forgotten what it was. And it's good. It's just like footage from different individuals sewn together to make the story of the day, or 102 minutes. So it's fine. But if you want something that is like more narrating and telling kind of the events, then my recommendations for you is there are 3 on from the History Channel that kind of go together. One is called 9/11 Inside Air Force One, 9/11 at the Pentagon, and 9/11 the final flight of, or the last moments of Flight 93, I think is what the name of it. They all kind of go together and they tell obviously 3 different stories of that day. The Air Force one was really good. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, as the name implies, it tells the story of 9/11 from the view of those who were aboard Air Force One and their journey of the day. Pentagon, obviously, again, from them. And then the Flight 93 one is one that I will not be watching. I can't do that one. That's where I'm drawing my boundary line on it. I will let my boys know the choice to watch it, but I can't do that one. But they all 3 of those kind of go together, and I think they would tell a really good version of the day, and they're each about 45 minutes long, so they're easy to watch, not huge time commitments. And those are my suggestions for easy, no prep resources for setting 9/11. Thanks for watching.